Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Will you kindly all please take your seats so that we can start the next session. As you're aware that this is a special session that we hold on 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, where eminent guests from around the world come and address our Jalsa Salana. So we are now going to start this session with recitation of the Holy Quran, and I request Muridun Sahib Shams to come and recite a portion of the Holy Quran, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our first eminent speaker this afternoon is Councillor Mike Parsons, who is the Mayor of Guildford. He was first elected to local government in 1987 in North East Hampshire, and in 2015 he became a Guildford Borough Councillor for Shelford Ward. Mike's support for the local community includes the work with Chilworth Community Association. He's a good friend of the community, and I welcome him to Jalsa Salana and invite him to come and say a few words.
Thank you, and good afternoon, and can I thank you also very much for inviting me along today. It's been a great pleasure and a huge privilege. I'd like to pay special thanks to Awiz Ahmed, who invited me along today. And I must admit I've been quite amazed and humbled by what you Muslims do in the world of volunteering and charity work, and for that I'm eternally grateful. And I therefore bring you the welcome from the residents of Guildford, whom I recommend. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Our next eminent speaker is Councillor Mary Curtin, the Mayor of Merton Council, which is the home of Bethel Fatou Mosque. Mary was recently appointed as the Mayor of Merton after being a councillor for Lower Morden since 2014. She moved to Morden in 1984 and has been passionately serving the people in her area through her charity work, Friends in St. Heliers, which helps to engage and prevent the isolation of senior members of the community. She's a close friend of the community, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome her to Jalsa Salana and request her to come and say a few words.
Thank you for inviting me. Your Holiness, distinguished guest, it is my pleasure to be here, and I thank the Ahmadiyya Muslim community for the invitation to be included in this very important occasion. I am very pleased to be here with you as the Mayor of the London Borough of Merton. I would like to pay tribute to the work that is carried out by your organisation in our area and all over the world, which is really outstanding. You serve the Muslim community in Merton very well, and I am, today as always, impressed by your warmth and for always welcoming others in peace and friendship. More importantly, I applaud and thank you for the consistent focus given to peace at the community, national and international levels. Your focus on peace, compassion, sympathy and generosity to others is a unifying element that transcends race, nationality, ethnicity and religion. May your love for all and hatred for none continue to be a bridge to create opportunities for peace as all mankind seeks to embrace the teachings of equality, understanding and goodwill to all. May this drive our different agendas individually and collectively. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next eminent guest is Mr. Max Fineday, and he is the co-executive director of the Canadian Roots Exchange, a youth-led charity providing Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth opportunity to engage in reconciliation, dialogue, and leadership development at a local and national level. Max is a close friend of the community, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome him to Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Nitotumak, niwako maganak. Kisagao pisim wasas nasiga sunegwa. Wikas gotinia. Nago atik gotinia. Friends and relatives, I'm so pleased to be with you here today at this important Jalsa. Standing behind me are leadership from First Nations, from the prairies areas, from Treaty 7, Treaty 6, Treaty 4. We bring you messages of peace, messages of friendship. Chief Crowchild, Chief Redmond, and our Elder Alvin. We have all been witnesses to this important work, not only here at Jalsa, where you volunteer, where you spend time and commit to your community, as well as our kind and loving Creator, but as well we've seen your organization, your brothers and sisters, your relatives in our home territory participate in peace building, in bridge making, in creating kinder and more just communities. That's in the urban centers, but that's as well with our First Nations communities on the reserve. Tomorrow, this delegation is going to be presenting His Holiness with a blanket, a sacred blanket that in our culture represents a sacredness, a connection, a protection of those most important to us, those who commit themselves to the hard work of community building. Our Elder Alvin offers this honor song in representation to the importance that this blanket holds for us. As a young person, I commend you for all the leadership that your young people show and dedication to building your community up, to building a better world. And I leave you with this message that I've learned so much from, that I've heard so often at this gathering: love for all and hatred for none. Let that ring across the world. Nipinanaskumun. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Our next eminent guest is Councillor Derek Gardner, the Mayor of Alton. Alton is the home to Hadiqatul Mehdi, our Jalsa Salana site, and we are honored to have Derek join us here today. This will be Derek's second year serving as the Mayor of Alton. He has worked tirelessly to help people with mobility issues, improve transport in the local area, and address many issues on an individual basis. It gives me great pleasure to welcome him and invite him to come and say a few words.
Thank you very much indeed. Your Holiness, distinguished guests all, you are more than welcome to this event, and on behalf of the people of Alton, we wish you every happiness and peace, and do enjoy this event. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much. Our next eminent guest is Mr. Mohammed Oscar, who is the member of the Welsh Conservative Party and is a member of the South Wales East Region. Before his appointment, Mr. Oscar became the Wales' first Muslim councillor representing Victoria Ward on Newport City Council. Mr. Oscar is a long-standing friend of the community and has attended and supported numerous Jamaat events. It's a pleasure to welcome him once again to Jalsa Salana, and I invite him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Conference, actually my Mubarak, Mubarak, Mubarak. Congratulations to you all, what actually you have created a wonderful surrounding and this Jalsa Mubarak and this part of the world where the people come from all over the world with one slogan: love for all, hatred for none. What a wonderful word to say. I was talking to somebody earlier, and the gentleman who said, I have waited all my life for this function today. So there are people like this who are visiting this part just to be here with you because you are spreading love, peace, harmony, and understanding with all faiths, color, religions. And this is a great event which you should all be proud of, because your community and our community, you give so much to the British communities in large. Millions of pounds of charity is being given from our community to British indigenous community, that our name, our faith, our color has given a flying color in the Muslim communities in all over United Kingdom. You should be proud of it, because what you have achieved is a wonderful thing to do. And my message to you all is one, that our children now, they must learn not only faith, but the local values. But with learning local values, we must not leave our faith. And that is our holiness, which have already given you this message very recently, that in Welsh Assembly, there was a bill come into discussion that nobody should touch a child. Nobody should discipline even a child. I stood for that and I made a speech. I tell you 1 or 2 points. I said the mother, natural mother of a child, must have right to discipline the child. I mean, at least put a discipline. They were going to make a law here not to touch even a child. And the thing is, I said, if you don't let mother touch a child, the most of the mental hospital will be full of our mothers or anybody's mother. So make sure, please, our next generation is prepared exactly, if not you, like you, it should be better than you. And God bless you all. Welcome to UK, and thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Our next eminent guest is Councillor Anthony Williams. He is the chairman of East Hampshire District Council, which once again is home to Hadiqat al-Mahdi. This is the regional council. Before his appointment as chairman, Anthony served his local community through various village organizations and a ward councillor of Heedy for 21 years. As a chairman, Anthony supports the Rosemary Foundation, which provides care for terminally ill residents and home starts, supporting mothers with young children through time of...
Welcome is to His Holiness and the other distinguished guests and speakers who are attending here today, plus my fellow civic leaders from throughout the UK, and particularly to all the guests who've travelled and delegates who've travelled so far to attend this momentous occasion. I also look forward to meeting more of you. I have met some of you this morning and over lunch. And I also send heartfelt greetings from the residents of East Hampshire to everyone watching on World TV and digital radio. I must also mention all the organisers of this event, because without it, and I've learnt an awful lot about it from today and talking to people, how many chefs, stewards and organisers there are behind this momentous event, and my thanks on behalf of everyone to you all. So my greetings to you all, peace be upon you, assalamu alaikum.
Our next eminent guest is His Royal Highness Kamasuaga Apollo Sensa, His Highness is the King of Koki Kingdom, Uganda. His Highness is a very good friend of the community in Uganda, and we are delighted to have him here today with us. I welcome His Royal Highness to the Jalsa Salana and invite him to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Amir. Your Holiness, the supreme head of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, Eminences, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. May the love and peace of the Almighty God be on each and every one here, and indeed upon the whole universe. For the current need for humanity and the whole world is peace. Thank you for inviting me to this important annual convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association. I'm once again honored to be part of this annual event. I thank God, Allah, for bringing all of you here in safety from all parts of the world and from various parts of this beautiful country. In the Republic of Uganda, where my kingdom is situated, and indeed the African continent, let alone the world at large, Your Holiness has championed the drive towards peace for all. You have labeled it the call of the Almighty God, and not yours personally. This is a call that we must not only support, but live fulfillment of this. Your Holiness, I am a witness to your practical actions, especially with the people of my kingdom and Ugandans at large, whom you have compassionately availed with schools, hospitals, poverty alleviation projects, water supply, among many others. I am also aware of the whole noble works relating to the translation of the whole Quran in a number of languages to enable and everyone read and understand the Word of God. Thank you, Your Holiness, for the sincere and humble understanding example of peace, love, harmony in the world. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah, thank you. Our next eminent speaker is Professor Shaheed, who is the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the freedom of religion of belief. He's also the Deputy Director of the Essex Human Rights Centre. Professor Shaheed is a career diplomat. He has twice held the office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Maldives. He led the Maldives' effort to embrace international human rights standards between 2003 and 2011. He's won various awards, and in 2015 was awarded the prestigious Leo Navas Human Rights Award by United Nations Foundation for his work as United Nations Special Rapporteur on human rights situation in Iran. He's a good friend of the community, and I welcome him this afternoon to our Jalsa Salana and request him to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. And thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words at this very important Jalsa. I bring to you all greetings from the UN's Human Rights Council. In my work for the UN in monitoring the situation of respect for freedom of religion or belief around the world, I work very closely with members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the International Human Rights Commission, and I am pleased to pledge that I shall work in the future very closely with your colleagues as well. We live in an age of anxiety and hope, an age of anxiety because of the growing intolerance around the world on account of religion, amongst other things, but also one of hope because increasingly governments and other organizations are investing in promoting and respecting human rights. The international human rights community owes a lot to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. 70 years ago, when the world was formulating the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, an eminent Ahmadiyya member, Zafarullah Khan of Pakistan, stood up in defense of human rights of everybody, including freedom of religion. Today, in a world of growing hatred, love for all, hatred for none is a very vital and important message that we all can benefit from. I shall leave here today by again reiterating my very strong commitment to upholding your rights and a very strong pledge to work with you and your colleagues brothers and sisters, in advancing your rights as individuals and your rights as a community. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Our next eminent speaker is Reverend Johnny Moore, who is newly appointed Commissioner of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, appointed by U.S. President Donald Trump in June 2018. He was previously served as the Vice President at Liberty University, a Christian evangelist education institute. Reverend Moore wrote the book Defying ISIS as a prolific speaker and influential Christian evangelist and commentator. Recently, he condemned the attack on the Jamaat in Sialkot and has expressed public sympathy for the persecution of Ahmadis in Pakistan. I welcome Reverend Moore to the Jalsa Salana and request him to come and say a few words.
It is an unbelievable privilege to be here. Like so many people all around the world, I am inspired by the vision of His Holiness in a world of great fear to bring the hope of peace. And your community represents that hope to the world that we're living in. And I thank you dearly for the invitation to be a part of this awe-inspiring Jalsa. I was appointed by the President of the United States as a commissioner on the U.S. Commission for International Religious Freedom, because this commission, which is the only one of its kind in the world, is committed to the mandate of promoting religious freedom conditions in every country in the world. And then we make recommendations to the President of the United States, to members of Congress and the Secretary of State. And the commission is led by volunteers like myself, members of the private sector that dedicate our time and energy to the promotion of these values. There is no doubt that the Ahmadiyya community faces physical, social, legal threats in many countries where they reside. And year in and year out, we report on that and we make sure that it isn't forgotten. We also make sure that prisoners of conscience aren't forgotten, like Mr. Abdul Shakur in Pakistan. We pray for him and we advocate for him and so many others. Ahmadis are victims of unjust and discriminatory blasphemy laws in various countries. And last year, our commission did an extensive study on these laws. We highlighted them from around the world. And there is no doubt that they are most extreme in Pakistan, where the rights of the Ahmadiyya community are consistently violated. This is partly why we have deemed Pakistan a country of particular concern since 2002. USCIRF has made it and will continue to make it our priority to raise a voice for the Ahmadiyya community. But I have to say that I'm also personally moved by your community. That's why I published the article that was mentioned in my introduction. That's why I speak up on your behalf. That's why I have a personal commitment to make sure that you're not forgotten. Because I believe that the answer to the worst of religion in our world is the best of faith. And you are an image as a community of the best of faith. And I stand here in solidarity with you because I believe that the best war against ideology that aims to promote fear is to stand in solidarity with those who promote peace, who embrace love for all and hatred for none. And I have to say that every time a tragedy happens where someone uses the name of God, Allah Akbar, as they commit an act of terrorism, I grieve at the defilement of God's name to promote such murder. And I think and hope of the promotion of peace that comes when your community says Allah Akbar, because God truly is great and He is a God of peace and you are a symbol of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Moore. Our next eminent speaker is Sarah Hahn. She is the lead commissioner for the UK Government Commission on Counterterrorism. Sarah has worked extensively with the community across the country to tackle extremism. She co-founded Inspire in 2008, which is an independent, non-governmental organization working to counter extremism and empower women. Sarah is working on tackling extremism and has been recognized across the world and has won numerous awards, including the Social and Humanitarian Award at the Asian Women of Achievement Awards. She has also spoken on the need to tackle interfaith extremism. I welcome her to Jalsa Salana and request her to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm honoured to be here with you all today. Thank you to His Holiness for the invitation and for being such a powerful example of how to lead a global, peaceful and tolerant community that rejects extremism in all its forms. I have always personally been inspired by the work of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in promoting peace, love for our country and in challenging extremism. A great example is the community's United Against Extremism campaign, and now, more than ever, are such messages and campaigns needed. Today, sadly, we find ourselves living in a time where we are seeing the rise of hatred, intolerance, and extremism across the world. The consequences of this impacts us all. Extremism threatens religious freedom, human rights, cultural freedom, and women's rights. I have always believed the beauty of the world and the beauty of Islam lies in our diversity. Yet it is diversity and pluralism, gifts given by God, which extremists are threatened by and are so keen to destroy. It is the Ahmadiyya community's defiant rejection of extremism, often in the face of abuse, intolerance and persecution, that brings me to today's Jalsa. As Lead Commissioner for the Commission for Countering Extremism, I am here today to extend my hand out to you in friendship, solidarity and partnership in our common cause of countering extremism. The Commission's values are clear. We will not tolerate hatred, religious intolerance or discrimination of any community or people. We are committed to defending and upholding our country's democratic values, which includes, among many things, religious freedom. Since my appointment as Lead Commissioner in the last few months, I have visited over 11 cities and spoken to over 300 people, including members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. I know that the experience of anti-Muslim hatred is real and is a lived reality for many. Not only do some Muslims experience hatred by those outside of the Muslim faith, but often Muslims also experience hatred and intolerance from other Muslims. The Commission seeks to help everyone do more to counter extremism. We are committed to challenging all forms of extremism that exist in our country today, which is why engagement, research and building a robust Commission is my priority. In the last few weeks, the Commission launched its evidence drive with the aim of producing a comprehensive study on extremism in our country today. I want to look at the scale of extremism, the harm it's causing, understanding better the objectives and tactics of extremists, and look at how best we can counter extremism. I want to hear from victims of extremism and those on the front line countering it. I am aware that often victims and counter-extremists do not receive the support they need. I want to change this. I would like to thank His Holiness for inviting me today, and I look forward to returning next year to celebrate with you not only the positive contribution the Ahmadiyya community is making to our country, but to also celebrate our country's religious freedom, diversity and pluralism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Our next eminent speaker is Stephen Hammond. Stephen has been a Member of Parliament for Wimbledon since 2005 and has served as Shadow Minister for Transport and Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for Transport. Stephen is a member of the APPG Ahmadiyya Muslim community and also spoke in the House of Commons debate in May on the persecution of Ahmadis. He's a good friend of the community and has visited the convention before. I'd like to welcome him and ask him to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. It's an honour and a privilege to be here again to speak at Jalsa. I thought of the words I've said on several occasions before, but they seem even more relevant. The world we thought we were building a few years ago, a world of greater tolerance, a world of opportunity, a world of countering extremism, seems under threat from so many causes at the moment. Not only groups that we thought that we had defeated, terrorist groups, extremist groups, but also now nations seeking to do ill to other nations. And also the threat of a trade war which undoubtedly heightens tensions in the livelihoods of so many. We have challenges internationally and challenges domestically. And I was pleased to speak in the parliamentary debate in May, which was, I think, for once, showing the House of Commons at its best, united in the opposition to extremism and intolerance towards the Ahmadiyya community. For in that debate, and I think in this Jalsa, we recognise that the Ahmadiyya community is a community, but it's also a community within communities. The world itself is a community, and we need to make sure that is a peaceful community and a community that's offering hope and peace as opposed to intolerance and warfare. So never more was it necessary that your message of love for all and hatred to none rings out. And I'm delighted that this Jalsa will celebrate that. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Our next eminent speaker is Mr. Mohammed Killa, Deputy Minister of Social Welfare, Sierra Leone. Mr. Killa will be reading a message from the President of Sierra Leone, and I welcome him to the Jalsa Salana and invite him to come and read the message.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I bring you greetings from the people of Sierra Leone and the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Marabio, who sends his congratulatory message to His Holiness, the Supreme Head of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community here in London. Your Holiness, I wish to congratulate Your Holiness and the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat members worldwide on the occasion of the 52nd Annual Convention that is celebrated in the UK. May Allah the Almighty bless your celebrations. Your Holiness, I wish to inform you and your Jamaat that my government and the people of Sierra Leone recognize and appreciate the role played by the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Sierra Leone in the fields of education, healthcare, delivery, peace building, humanitarian services, and the provision of solar lights in different locations in Sierra Leone. The Ahmadiyya Mission believes in and works for peace and has proved beyond all reasonable doubt that they are a peaceful Muslim group working for the unity of mankind in my country. I assure you, Your Holiness, of my government's continued support for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Sierra Leone and wish you a successful convention. May Allah continue to bless the efforts of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in this country and worldwide. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Nara Takbir! Jamaat Ahmadiyya Sierra
Leone. His Holiness is just arriving, so wait in silence, please.
Nara Takbir! Nara Takbir! Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa! Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa! Islam Ahmadiyyat! Islam Ahmadiyyat! Ghulam Ahmad ki! Ghulam Ahmad ki!
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi तशरीफ रखें हो गया
Assalamu alaikum, beloved Hazur. Hazur, our final speaker this afternoon is Honorable Ibrahimi Silla, Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure in Gambia. Honorable Silla is an alumni of Nusrat Jahan School in Gambia. He's a very close friend of the Jamaat and has traveled from Gambia to be here specifically to attend Jalsa. I welcome him this afternoon and ask him to come and say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. It's good to be back once again in the Jalsa. Your Holiness, the Supreme Leader of the Worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmed, the fifth Caliph of the Jamaat, vulnerable religious leaders, invited guests, brothers and sisters in the Islamic Ummah, as well as those of our brothers and sisters from other religious denominations gathered here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I convey to you warm fraternal greetings from His Excellency, the President of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, the government and people of the Republic of the Gambia. Your Holiness, I have to say that the theme of your this year's convention underpins the undiluted position of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the African Union to use the persuasive power of religion not as an instrument to divide people, but as a progressive, opportunistic tool to effectively promote social cohesion and harmony, accelerate human development endeavors, and provoke inner self-conviction premised on devotion, modesty, and commitment to the general good. Put it mildly, religion should be a unifier and not a destroyer of hope and human dignity. As a Muslim, and also Islam being the fastest growing religion in the world, it behoves on us Muslims to exhibit genuine stewardship and embrace strong, pragmatic initiatives that serve as disincentives to misguided and extremist groups using Islam to spread hate and fear. It is our responsibility to dispel this unfortunate, widespread notion that confuses and links Islam with violence. It is time now that we use our collective strength to conquer fear about our religion, to confront all forms of extremism, real or perceived, to inspire and to assure hope, to recommit ourselves to the true values of tolerance and love, uphold the dignity and inviolability of life, cherish peaceful coexistence, and initiate mechanisms that assure lasting peace and progress. Your Holiness, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you of the unflinching commitment of the government of the Gambia to the noble principles of religious tolerance and world peace. My country, the Gambia, has a long cherished history of religious tolerance. Perhaps one of the most important contributing factors of the religious tolerance in my country is the culture of interfaith marriage among different faith groups in my country. But most importantly, the right to religious belief and belonging is a deeply entrenched clause in our Constitution. Government would continue to provide the necessary enabling environment without hindrance or let for the citizenry to practice their religious beliefs freely. The Gambia government will also continue to commit itself to the secularity of the state as enshrined in our Constitution. Our country has just rolled out its 4-year National Development Plan, which aims to harness the collective effort of all Gambians to collectively participate in the development process. We recognize from the onset that our country, the Gambia, will not develop when some of its citizens are discriminated against because of their religious belief. In his Friday summons on the first day of this year's Jalsa, Hazrat Amirul Muminin Khalifatul Misa V admonished Muslims to choose the power of divinity through prayers over violence and to serve humanity with grace and wisdom. These are powerful, pragmatic admonishments that challenge our collective consciences to uphold all what it takes to remain tolerant and to be devoted to the true teachings of Islam to endanger world peace and stability. I want to assure you, Your Holiness, that this advice will constitute a critical, distinct embodiment of our country's governance process. Before I conclude, Your Holiness, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank the Emir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in the Gambia and the entire membership for their continuous service to our nation. From spirituality to healthcare, agriculture to education, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat stand tall in its immeasurable contributions to the development of our country. I am one such direct beneficiary of the numerous development contributions by the Ahmadiyya Jamaat, having attended Nusrat High School, one of the leading high schools run by the Jamaat in the Gambia. The Jamaat has also just recently funded critical facelift of the Gambia Radio and Television Services GRTS, our national broadcaster, that now boasts of state-of-the-art news studios of international standard. Part of the facelift of the GRTS studios was the provision of cutting-edge technologies to the national broadcaster. I am made to understand that more such support for the national broadcaster is in the pipeline. We acknowledge the personal endorsement by the Khalifa for the successful implementation of these upcoming projects. On behalf of the board and management of GRTS, I thank you, Your Holiness, for that wonderful gesture. A few months ago, my ministry, the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure, approved a content distribution license to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Television Network to start operations in the Gambia. Your Holiness, we look forward to engaging programming from the MTA in the Gambia. Let me seize this opportunity once again, Your Holiness, on behalf of the government of the Gambia, to thank you profoundly and through you, the entire membership of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, for your untiring efforts and support in the Gambia. I thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Nara Takbir! Islam Ahmadiyya! Jamaat Ahmadiyya Alam ki! Hazrat Amir al-Mu'minin! Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis! Jamaat Ahmadiyya de Gambia! Nara Takbir!
Hazur, that concludes the speeches this afternoon. There's one small presentation that Chief Li Crowchild, who is the elected chief of Sioux Tina Nation in Canada, would like to present to Hazur. I'd request him to come and please come and do his presentation.
Come as your guest.
Thank you.
It's a small token, a star blanket. It's very, very
Thank you.
honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Thank you.